Welcome to the introduction of our one-point perspective cityscape artwork. Today, you are going to be starting to make your own bird's eye view of a cityscape. As you can see, I already drew my vanishing point and some of the tops of the buildings that I will be creating for my cityscape. So, in this project, you are going to be creating almost like a topographical map of a city. Now, there's a few tips and tricks that I'm going to show you, but otherwise, you should know the fundamentals of connecting shapes to the vanishing point. So, when I first drew all my shapes, I drew them a cluster around the middle of the paper. My vanishing point is still in the middle, and I'm still going to use the same strategy of lining up my ruler to the vanishing point. So, for example, I'm going to line up my ruler for this building. However, you need to draw extremely lightly because many of these lines are going to be erased. So I'm going to not draw super lightly so that you can see, but you should be sketching as light as you can. Right? When I am making these lines this time, you need to start thinking about an actual building. What size is your building going to be? And where is it going to end? It might be a little bit more challenging to think of all the different ways that you can basically squish your building so it doesn't go all the way to the vanishing point. So I have my building here, and again, if you are making it a building and not just going to the vanishing point, if this line goes straight up and down, when I cut it off, this line is going to go straight up and down. If this line goes straight across, this line goes straight across. If this line goes straight up and down, hopefully you guessed it, this line is going to go straight up and down, and so on and so forth. So that when you now erase this portion, you will have what looks like a form of a shape, and it's going to become your building. I started to draw more of my lines to the vanishing point, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to block them off. I made a curved line to make my building a cylinder, and on this building, you're only going to see two sides. So again, I'm just going to block it off, thinking about the height, and then erase the lines that are connecting it all the way to the vanishing point. Same thing with my building on the side. I can decide where I section it off and erase my lines coming to the vanishing point. And then with this curvy building, I'm going to section it off, do a curvy line because that is what this interior of the building is, and then do another line straight across. And again, I am erasing all the lines going to the vanishing point. If you accidentally erase your vanishing point like I just did, right, you can just redraw it, but make sure you redraw it in the same space. Now, here's where you could have a challenge. When you do some of these buildings that are on the outside of your drawing, you don't want to slice through buildings you have already drawn, right? So when I line up my lines, I'm going to still line up my ruler to the vanishing point and my ruler to the corner, but I don't actually want to draw it all the way down to the vanishing point because I would slice through this cool building I have here. So I'm just going to line it up. Let's see, and oops, I just did it. So in that case, you erase it because I'm just out of habit. But you really should just stop. And then I'm going to section it off. Right, this one too, I line it up. I'm going to come to a stop, come to a stop, and come to a stop. Now make sure you draw them long enough so that you give yourself options. Right, I'm going to have my line going straight up and down here, and it goes straight up and down here, straight across here. And then what way do I draw it down here? Hopefully you know that I draw it straight across because you want your buildings to be even. And then again, erase your lines towards the vanishing point. I'm going to show you one more. Since it's kind of a funky shape that I drew, again, I'm going to line it up, but not draw it all the way down because I don't want to hit my buildings that I already drew. This is really important. Look at this. If this line is curved in this manner, I'm going to try to curve it the exact same on the bottom to give it the look of being three-dimensional. After finishing all my buildings, I started to decorate my map, right? So that it's the topographical view of the city. That means that's the bird's eye view. So I started to add some roads. I'm going to add some sidewalks, some trees, maybe a body of water. You'll get to see mine when I'm finished. The one last thing I want to show you is how to make windows on your building because it's a little tricky. You just have to connect it to the vanishing point. So again, if I wanted to make windows on my skyscrapers, right, I would just go connecting all my lines, moving to the vanishing point, moving over my ruler just a teeny tiny bit at a time. Let's see. And then when I take it away and I have all these lines, right, I can just go in and almost like a grid pattern for a skyscraper, draw my parallel lines to make the windows. I can't wait to see how yours turns out.